Welcome to Swish, You Were Here, episode 5. Took a little break, just to reset some things. Welcome to Swish, You Were Here. I'm Chris Hayden, and with me, as always, is your other co-host.
I'm Adam Hayden. It's lovely to see you guys just as clearly as you're seeing me.
He always makes it awkward every single time. Like, he makes it more awkward than
this time. I didn't call it out, though. This time I just made it weird and stared at camera.
I called it out this time, which is just as good.
That's okay. I'll call you out later.
Which I think is fair. But
it's okay.
We have had a little bit of a break. We took kind of a week off. It was mostly to try and get to figure out sort of some scheduling stuff. But as you can see, we are not joined by Amir Blumenfeld. He is in Dublin, Ireland, with Jake Hurwitz.
Here he is.
No,
he's right here.
What's really funny is I think that's set to wide, so you probably just did a weird thing.
I know.
Right into the camera.
I don't know where it is because I can't see it from this side. I am a little clumsy bear. That's the lyrics to this song. Okay.
So, let's get into a couple little things before we get rolling here. Mm-hmm. First of all...
How was your week?
Both of them?
Yeah, how was your weeks?
My weeks were full of, weird asthma because in Los Angeles right now, everything's on fire.
Yeah, that's true. I drove this past weekend up to, not that you guys fucking care about LA local stuff necessarily, but I drove into Burbank, North Hollywood area.
Local jokes get you local work.
Yeah, which is kind of okay if you live in LA or New York.
Adam needs some work.
One of the big ones.
Adam needs work. Someone get him work.
Hire me. Hire me, drip
senpai.
Upon a vape. Hire me, senpai.
Have we instituted a no vaping on camera policy yet, or are we good?
No, we're good on that. It's not a big deal.
We good.
We've talked about it, but there was no policy to be had.
Adam, I have bad news for you.
Please tell me your bad news.
Essentially, your two favorite Mavericks from last year are now in Golden State.
Yeah, that's fairly true. Although I know you're talking about Zaza.
Zaza.
And I love Zaza.
Game 7!
Of course. Who are you?
Game 7, baby!
Who's the other one you're talking about?
One Mr. Pierre JaVale McGee.
Oh, I didn't see that. That's such a sad bummer. I mean, that's great.
Well, no, he needed a team. I like JaVale.
I love JaVale. I wanted him to come back to Dallas, which I know is not possible. There's not roster spots left. There's not money left.
No, they signed 2 more players just the other day.
But good for him.
Yeah, he's on a. I don't think it's guaranteed. It's like a partially guaranteed or something like that. But it's basically a camp invite.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a make good deal.
I watch his Snapchat a lot.
You do.
Because I'm a millennial.
JaVale follows Adam on
for
Snapchat.
But to be fair, I think it's one of those things he just throws follow backs.
Don't downsell it.
I'm going to downsell it.
Don't downsell it.
After he got cut, I did, from the Mavs, I did send him a little, still love you, bro. And he opened it and checked it out. I was like, always going to be a JaVale McGee fan, which I know sounds absurd. But I love JaVale McGee. That guy's really fun to watch. He's not always great, but between the bad plays and weird mistakes here and there, he's athletic as hell, and he scores real well on the inside. And music, when he gets sad, makes me think about JaVale.
Yeah, so JaVale's in Golden State. So, everybody's going to Golden State now.
Did you see where... late roster edition Maverick last season just ended up?
Who?
Mr. David Lee.
Oh yeah, David Lee's going to San Antonio.
He's going to go fill. I assume
nobody
that David
likes San
West's
Antonio.
Role. Yeah,
come at me, San Antonio. Which had
what do you like the most? What do you like the least about San Antonio?
Big old women eating churros. I really want. We did this. This is something we did last week.
Wormhole you have to
dig
into.
Go to YouTube and start looking at Inside the NBA clips with Shaq dissing San Antonio.
No,
I mean Barkley, because Barkley hates San Antonio so much. Not the team, but the place. And there is literally, I think, 40 different clips of him talking about, quote, those big old women in San Antonio.
And he does it because it just makes Shaq die laughing. He does it
because it makes Shaq giggle like a little girl.
And then when he tries to be like, look, guys, I'm not gonna go into it. I'm under too much shit right now. Mm-hmm. Y'all just let me be. Kenny or whoever else will just, or Ernie. I don't know why I said whoever else, because either Kenny or Ernie, but usually Kenny just starts to goad him into it.
Yeah.
Giving him every little opportunity to make his cheap ass jokes.
He baits him every single time.
Big old women down in San Antonio.
Big old women in San Antonio.
We know how misogynistic that sounds and how horrible, but it's just so
Adam
fucking
is
funny.
So conscious of being offensive to somebody.
I am.
Let the man joke around. We're talking about someone else's joke.
That's true.
I got a question.
You know what?
I have a question for you.
What are you going to hit?
Why do you think people don't like you?
I think it's because I care too much about social justice.
That was funny.
Not really.
No, the other stuff going on this week. It's a weird because we're already in USA basketball, but there's some stuff going on with Russ and Westbrook again. The saga continues.
Yeah. One of the only things I really have noticed, this morning, I saw a trending clip of a fan, clearly at some food place or business establishment. I assume in Oklahoma. I know that's long-winded. You gave me a weird look.
I tend to go to mostly food places, but occasionally I'll visit a businest establishment.
Yeah, business establishment or a food place. Specific scientific clinical terms here.
Oh God.
But he goes "Hey Russ, hey bro, what do you think about Durant?" And he sees the camera and then just goes ha 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 ha, and walked out of frame.
That's a very Russ thing to do.
Which I kind of love. I love when Russ gets weird.
You mean just Russ all the time?
And I could be wrong in this, but I don't believe Russ has said anything much about it. I did hear this week there were reports out saying that right before free agency, a week prior maybe, that KD had a conversation with Russ, and he said, "Don't worry. I'm not going anywhere." He basically told him that a week from leaving.
Which
Russ
is
was, real shitty.
While Russ was going to sleep.
If that's true.
While Russ was going to sleep in full footy pajamas.
He just kind of nudged him with his foot real gingerly and goes, "Russ.
Hey
Russ, are you awake?
Hey.
You be Kevin and I'll be Russ.
Hey, Russ. Russ. Hey, are you awake?
Yeah, Kevin. What?
Put your shoes back on. We're at Grandma's.
I'm in bed, Kevin. Why do I got to put my shoes on every time we're at Grandma's?
Hey, listen. I know you haven't been sleeping well, but I'm not going anywhere.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. You know I love you so much, man.
I know. Now,
best buds forever.
Go back to sleep. Here, take your whatever the Oklahoma City Thunder mascot's plush toy version is and put it between your arms. I'm going to tuck you in.
Hey, Kevin.
Close the door.
Hey, Kevin.
Huh?
Can you make me a warm cup of chamomile?
Of course I can. He closed the door and turns off the lights and scene. I'd like to thank the Academy.
I'd like to thank
the
myself.
Academy Sports and Outdoors in Texas.
No one else?
Yeah, so I don't know. I doubt he actually told him he wasn't going anywhere.
I don't know.
Why would you do that?
I don't know why you get a Tupac tattoo on your leg when you've got tweets. Did you hear about this?
I saw the Tupac tattoo.
Okay, he got a Tupac tattoo on his leg, and he tends to be a guy who's kind of private, and you try and hide your tattoos.
Because he just got a woman named Brenda pregnant.
She's got a baby.
She's barely
got a brain. It's a damn shame she can barely spell her name.
He's the biggest Tupac fan.
I'm not the biggest Tupac fan.
Nope.
But I do like the guy.
Yeah, he is.
So someone went digging through his social media, which is just a real shitty thing to do to someone anyway, but found him a year or two ago going yeah, I guess my top 5 rappers are Lil Wayne and Drake and these other people. And then he goes, Tupac's all right, but I never really got into him.
So he got a tattoo?
Not long ago, he said that to somebody. And he's oh, I was just joking about that. I love Tupac.
What was he doing?
I think he got it as a respect the mentality sort of deal.
Okay.
Tupac's an icon, and there's this certain mystique to that, but he kind of bought in on something that's not really his jam. It's not really his shit.
That's weird. I don't know why
it's really weird.
Permanently inked onto your leg, though.
Kevin Durant, I don't put anything past the guy. He's full of weird decisions.
Yeah, that's true.
And he doesn't like the media at all. He's had the most rocky relationship with the media in the past couple seasons.
Rocky Raccoon relationship.
Where
bits here, guys. We got bits.
In the Black Mountain Hills of South Dakota, They lift a young boy named Kevin Durant. Not Rocky Raccoon. I am a little clumsy bear. Okay.
Next week you'll get the next line.
I'll get more lines in that later.
But we did have USA basketball, a whole bunch of USA basketball.
Oh, yeah.
Well, 2 games.
I think I am done on that. I don't think I had something else to add.
The
So
Tupac
please go
tattoo?
ahead. Yeah, Tupac tattoo. It's just weird. I don't put anything past him.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of on the Westbrook side of this whole thing, whether they end up trading him for a Blake Griffin possibly or something like that, which could be just 2 people trading 1 years that both guys are going to end up
your
leaving
soapbox this
afterwards
week?
anyway. But yeah, it wasn't going to be, but now it is. And we put the music on right as I'm done.
Yeah, USA basketball, they played China, and then the week before we played
Argentina.
and just whooped up on both of them.
Yeah.
The problem that has arisen is that need to find our chill
A little bit,
as
guys.
a USA basketball team. The China game, we won by, I believe, 50.
Mm-hmm. In that Argentina game, we still won by like at least 40.
It was like 40, but the China game specifically.
Let's put this in a little perspective before we go into the China game, because Argentina, who beat
China
us in
owns the
2004.
United States.
Yes, that's true. But in 2004, that was the Olympics where Argentina won, and a lot of those guys are still kicking around with like Prigioni and like I think Pablo Prigioni is.
Prigioni's like 40
He
years
could be
old.
Italian.
But
I may be wrong on that, but I think he's Argentine. But I know they have
He's
Scola
Italian,
and they have Ginobili.
Yeah.
And they have guys like that who are all just really getting up there in their careers. And the problem is that they're still the best players on the team.
yeah, that's an issue, I'd say.
And
There just aren't any
Argentina
there just aren't any young Argentinian players like blowing up right now.
Do you know where Argentina is ranked in the world?
I don't know. What, like
4.
4?
We beat number 4 by 40.
If we get anything but a gold medal,
like 3 of the
it's fucked.
best players in the league. Because there's no Steph.
yeah.
There's no like half the guys that are just like, I don't want to ruin my body.
Well, we have a tradition of being the best, except for a couple of years that we were not good.
Yeah.
That's not entirely true.
We weren't
the
bad.
problem is that we
We were the wrong teams.
They were the wrong teams.
chemistry.
well, and the interesting thing is now this team is very young,
Yeah.
but it's showing.
Very athletic, though.
It's showing because something that Coach K is putting up with a little bit is something that Coach Pop will not put up with when he takes over. Just clouding that shit up.
It's not that bad. I blew it off to the right.
No, they're showboating like crazy.
Yeah.
And
that comes
Coach
with
K's
the
already come out-
athleticism.
And
a
Coach
little bit.
K's already come out and said, that they got to calm this down. He's saying that I think the quote was like, "I'm not saying we need to have zero fun, but essentially when you're up by 48, you don't need to be coming off the bench like exploding every time someone does a dunk, and you
Like-
especially don't need to be trying 360 dunks with a defender trailing
that's exactly
you.
what I was going to. Is
And then
DeMar
you
DeRozan.
miss that dunk and you're up by 50. Why would you ever? I mean, why are you doing that? Like, I love showboating. I love like being a dick in sports. Like, it's fun to me, but
It's fun for me to do that same thing with like video games. I'm not
Adam's not
that
a dick
competitive. with
Adam's not a
sports.
dick in video games. What he does is he just plays. He breaks them, and he plays like basketball version. Like in basketball, all he does is run down and find and just shoot a 3 every single time. He never goes inside. He doesn't know how the post.
Here's the
buttons
thing.
work on
That's
NBA
not true
2K.
at all. I'm
He
very
doesn't.
good.
It's 100% true.
I'm very good.
He's lying.
I
to you.
will set up a Twitch stream for Swish You Were Here, and I will do some like Twitch
Go ahead.
plays with people.
You can watch Adam just shoot 3s all day.
I don't just shoot threes all
he
day.
shoots 3s all day.
I do a lot of things, but I
Mostly
will
threes.
say I hit a lot of threes at a point in which the game.
We tried to play golf the other day, and Adam like
Steph Curry hit like 500 threes
He don't
this
even
year,
want me
Chris.
to talk. Yeah, but Steph Curry is one member of a team of people.
I am the Steph Curry of 2K.
This is beside the point. The point is, you shouldn't be doing what DeRozan did. You shouldn't be like,
Yes.
like he had to go calm the bench down when they were up by 50,
Sit
and
your ass
someone
down.
dunked, and like DeAndre is the first one up off the bench going like, hold him back. I'm like, you're up by 50. Get out of this game.
Yeah, I saw several times during the
You've
China
already embarrassed
exhibition
them.
where they. By the way, before I get into this, every player on the Chinese national team has the same haircut. Look it up. I don't know if it's on purpose or not, but they have all the sides are shaved.
You know, everyone in North Korea has the same haircut too.
That's all. That's what I'm alluding to.
Mm-hmm.
Look out, China. We know what you're up to. No, I found that funny. Kind of fun too, but I like it. I like it when people match. You're going to play a drop. I can tell you're getting it ready.
No, just turning it back on.
Okay.
I went to sleep.
So I noticed the point where there's so many players who are celebrating preemptively on the court, standing on the wing, and they don't really do anything about it. It's too many men on the court.
Yeah,
which is something they really watch for in the NBA, because
standing in the corner,
you'll get your ass ejected if it's live and you're out there, and the ref decides to call it, and they're just hanging out hold me back when they messed up and nothing happened anyway. But it's the bench being so far out on the court is ridiculous. And then KD, who couldn't buy a bucket in that China exhibition.
I forgot about that play.
That was great.
Kyle Lowry missed 3.
He was a flamethrower in that match and wasn't really hitting. But on this certain play, he goes inside and he kicks it out to a wide open Kyle Lowry at the 3. And before he even turns and looks at him, before the ball is left, he reaches out his arms like he is motherfucking Jesus Christ and starts walking down the court in front of everyone. And then it just dings off the rim, and he's like, whatever. Well, I just have to say, it's a little much.
We're gonna win. We're gonna win a gold. I don't really see. I mean,
we're gonna cover that on here too.
Yeah, we're gonna talk a little bit about USA basketball. We're gonna talk a little bit about USA basketball. We're still in exhibition mode, so we'll get into that more as it happens. However, special treat for you. We told you probably 6 days ago on Twitter, but this week, Adam.
What's so special about this week?
This week is a special episode of Swish You Were Here, because we're talking about Superman, the Diesel, Shaq Stradamus,
Neon Bodo.
That's right. It is Shaq Week.
Shaq,
Part 1.
Shaq it up now.
You're going to see a sweet graphic on it.
Yeah, it's going to be really good.
Shaq Week Part 1. We are talking about the first Shaq vehicle, which is of the 3 that we will end up doing. We may do another one next week or whatever. We can have a Shaq Week whenever the hell we want.
It's the only Shaq vehicle they never let Shaq drive because he crashed the other ones.
If we really get into this movie, he didn't want a vehicle in the first place.
That's true.
But it's the 1994, 1994 classic Blue Chips, starring Nick Nolte, Shaq. Rick Pitino has a cameo in the beginning. Penny Hardaway is in this thing.
There's a lot of cameos.
That
this.
white
Ed
guy,
O'Neill's in this.
The guy, Bobby Singer from Supernatural, is in this.
Jim Beavers.
Jim Beaver. Yeah, that's right.
Or Beaver.
Beaver. He's a singular beaver.
He's a singular beaver, that guy.
Singular Beaver is actually my new comic book I'm coming out with.
Is it about that beaver that's just getting out into the dating world for the first time? Singular Beaver.
Yeah, but everywhere he goes, he smells real bad, so it's always clearing out, so he's always by himself. It's just a constant letting you know that
They're really gross.
He's singular.
Yeah.
And he also uses singular wireless.
Oh my God! In the middle of his body is a pussy. Because he's a beaver. That's really gross. I'm sorry. Continue. So Nick Nolte.
Wait a minute. But is it like an innie or an outie?
I'm going to show you a diagram.
Oh, please don't. Yeah, so we're talking about Blue Chips, and to be honest, I think this is as good a place as any to take a quick little break. And when we come back, we are going to talk about Blue Chips. We're going to talk about green chips. We're going to talk about red chips.
We're going to
talk about tortilla chips. We're going to talk about every type of Takis. We're going to get into Takis. Taki Talk coming up next on Swish You Were Here. We'll be right back. And we're back.
Whoa.
Kicking off Shaq Week Part 1. I have a soundboard, but I'm not going to play it.
Nope. Just going to make mouth sounds instead.
Yeah.
Speaking of sounds, do you want me to kick you off on something about Blue Chips?
Hold on. We'll get into this right
Okay.
now. Blue Chips, 1994. Here's what blew my mind, because I'd always heard about Blue Chips, but I hadn't watched it. Because when it came out, I was 8.
I was 3.
Shut up. And the director, do you know who directed Blue Chips?
Was
William Friedkin.
okay. Tell me
William
a little about
Friedkin directed this basketball movie.
because
the
I
great
had a feeling
William
you were.
Friedkin. He directed The Exorcist.
Oh shit.
He directed The French Connection. He directed Cruising.
Some early Hackman.
Yeah, a lot of early Hackman. To Live and Die in L.A. Let me pull up
Nice.
his IMDb. Yeah, he directed Jade.
Jade.
12 Angry Men, Rules of Engagement, that movie Bug, which I kind of enjoyed.
I have never seen Bug.
The Hunted, and last thing he directed was Killer Joe, which I haven't seen, but I hear Killer Joe's great. But
Is that
William
related to Neon
Friedkin
Joe?
directed this movie.
That's
I mean,
crazy.
the auteur of The Exorcist.
The man
directed
who brought
Blue
us
Chips
a
with-
girl vomiting pea soup as her head spun
and
round.
masturbating with a crucifix.
Yes.
Which this movie had very little crucifix masturbation.
I have to say, when I watched it, that was not my experience. But I was lonely, and I was masturbating with a crucifix the entire time. I am a little clumsy bear. Watch me in the woods as I paw at the air. Okay.
I like the lyric. They keep getting more lyric to this song.
I'm going to build it.
Yeah, so this movie is really pretty good, actually.
It is.
I'll say that the only thing, well, I mean, we'll get to that, but basically the movie Blue Chips is about a college basketball coach at what is, I assume, to be UCLA, because it's just called Western, but they're blue and yellow and all that shit.
Yeah, I didn't really assume where they were, because...
They're in Los Angeles.
Are they in Los
That's
Angeles?
a big point in the beginning, because the
Okay.
one guy doesn't want to go to Los Angeles or whatever.
Oh, you're right.
If you haven't watched
I knew
Blue
it was
Chips-
California, but I didn't know if it was L.A.
If you haven't watched Blue Chips, go back and watch it, and then come join us. We'll be here.
There's something else I noticed in that
But
first
it's-
scene.
What?
In
The first basketball
This has to do with
game
credits
scene?
as well,
Did
which
you
there's a
notice
lot
that-
in that,
did you
which
notice
we'll
that-
get into
did you notice that-
who was there.
Every basketball scene is like 18 minutes long.
Yes.
They're the longest basketball scenes I've ever seen in a movie. And they're pretty solid. I mean, they basically
Yeah.
just had them play. Did you see Rick Fox in one of those basketball
I was going to
scenes?
mention that
'Cause I swear
too.
he
He's
said-
at the beginning as Texas Western
Because
player.
didn't he say Rick at one point? Say something to Rick and then he slams it?
He might have.
I swear that's Rick Fox. But I
It
don't
is Rick
know.
Fox.
haven't-
I checked it
You
in
checked it out?
casting because I
Okay.
was watching and I was like, "That's a young Rick Fox right
I'm
there."
going to have to holler at Kyle.
Yeah, ask
Shout
him
out to
about
Kyle.
that.
Shout out to Kyle
What's
Fox,
up,
host of esports experts on the Headgum
Kyle?
Network.
Yeah, a
Love
show I
Kyle.
listen to.
But yeah, I thought that was weird. Rick Pitino is the coach of Texas Western in the
Okay,
beginning.
before we get into
which
more
was
casting
mind-boggling.
stuff, this is something
Very
that popped up
young
real
Rick
quick.
Pitino.
Did you see who did the music for this?
I didn't. You've been wanting to tell me about this since we watched it.
Okay,
We watched it separately, by the way.
Yeah, which is just we come into the table with different stuff.
We
So
come all over the table.
We're coming on your table.
Mm-hmm.
You better have a 3D screen. Anyways, the music was done by Jeff Beck.
No way.
Yeah, in which I have to say before we really even get into the music of this film,
Uh-huh.
the sound design is terrible. Everything
Oh.
sounds like a airplane jet
No, it's
running
the-
through a
it-
tin
it-
can.
It's the every time they play like crowd sounds, it's just an airplane. Yeah, and it was driving
And
Katie nuts. 'Cause
whenever-
she was watching it while like I was watching it, she was catching parts of it. She's like, "This is making my head want to explode."
And instead of there being a swoosh whenever a basket lands,
Uh-huh.
there's a. It's an airplane jet sound. It really is a swooshing
all
airplane,
airplane
jet
jet
sounds. But the other person which I think there's a third person, but these are the two notable,
Mm-hmm.
who worked on this, was Nile Rodgers. Do you know about Nile Rodgers?
It's familiar, but
He was a founding member.
Oh, wait. Fraser's brother.
You're close. I am Frasier, singing songs in the bathtub, playing with a rubber duck. Okay. He is well known for being a lead guitarist and co-founding member of the band Chic of La Freak fame. So, and he's also been
Freak out.
a producer for like Sister Sledge, Diana Ross, Sheena Easton, David Bowie, Brian Ferry, Duran Duran, Madonna,
Brian Ferry though.
INXS, Britney Spears, Daft Punk,
Beat
Pharrell,
Spears, D-Punk,
Avicii,
P-Rel,
like a shit ton of
Avicii.
people. He's still working and still doing filmography shit.
That's
like
crazy.
Soundtracks.
He need to work on his
He
sound
worked on
design
like
a lot better in
vinyl
this movie.
Recently
Oh,
and stuff
that
like that. And it
Showtime
said
thing?
the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon he was involved with in some way.
T-show with J Fowl?
Yeah, but I just found it was really weird that like Beck, who had to be, I
know why
guess
I'm doing this.
he's 72 now, so I guess he was like 50
Jeff
when this
Beck?
came out. Yeah,
Not Beck.
no, Jeff
As
Beck,
as
not
in Odelay fame.
not that Beck, but Jeff Beck.
Scientology's Beck.
Yes,
Scientology's own Beck of Odelay fame.
of Odelay fame. Let me
That's an
see.
unpleasant noise. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're gonna miss a lot of players in this.
There's a lot of basketball players.
There's a lot of basketball players in that opening scene. There's a few. Rick Fox and Rick Pitino were the kind of the two people you wanted to
Rick
point
Pitino.
out there. They were highlighted a
later
little.
on. You have this big, like it feels like you're really leading up to Bobby Knight. Like
Yeah, because
he's
I
playing
feel
Bobby
and
Knight.
I
right?
wrote this down. Like
Like, he's
Pete
clearly
Bell
doing
is
sort of a Bobby
Knight, not off the court.
No.
He doesn't keep that up. He's
a
a
nice
whole
guy off the
different
court.
nice guy Nick Nolte character. That's
Which
really
Nick Nolte is great in this.
he is great in this. It's one
He's
of the best
awesome in
things
this
I've ever
movie.
seen him in.
I know Nick Nolte's been great in a lot of things. But
Yeah.
he's really good in this. And so basically, the bullet points.
Did you notice Bob Cousy?
Yeah, Bob Cousy plays he's like the administrator.
Yeah,
guy.
he's kind of like
In that great scene, there's a great scene where Bob Cousy, they're having a conversation on the court, and Bob Cousy's shooting free throws and just making every single one of them, and they don't cut away.
Yeah, no, that's a great scene.
And like 80-year-old, like 70-year-old Bob Cousy is just like hitting every free throw, and then he does them left-handed.
His acting is really good.
He
in
was
this.
great.
You wouldn't know he was a retired old basketball
Well, you know what
player.
it is though, is that he's talking to a coach,
Yeah,
and so he's so good
He's
at just like
natural at that.
bullshitting with him.
yeah.
But Nick Nolte plays this basketball coach. He's had 1 million winning seasons, and now he is having a rough season.
Like a rough 3-year streak. or
Yeah,
something.
like the last couple of years, they've had losing seasons, or they've had one losing season, and they haven't like won a title in a couple of years. And
early on, he's doing a presser after that Texas Western game.
right,
And the reporter, it sets up a lot in this movie, is Ed O'Neill, who plays
Yeah,
a
Ed
reporter
O'Neill's in
named
this.
Ed. Mm-hmm. It was really difficult for him to learn a new name. They
Creative.
wanted to call him Ned, but he just couldn't remember
I'll
it.
tell you this though, the Ed O'Neill storyline is so pointless. Did you think
It
that?
is. Like, he could have been used more. I feel like they cut some scenes.
Like they set up this
With
thing
them?
where Ed O'Neill is this investigative
He's
journalist.
going to be like the nemesis.
yeah, and he's gonna
gonna
like
take him
find
down.
out that
There was a point shaving incident that
Well,
he calls out.
yeah, but he's gonna find out that doesn't come until later. But he's
No, he asks him about it point
right.
blank, and it upsets Pete Bell, Nick Nolte's character.
But Pete
in
Bell is
that
this character that has
opening
never
scene.
he's never bought players. He's always had a clean organization. And Ed O'Neill's character wants to expose that he is buying players and all this stuff. Spoiler alert, eventually he buys players. But
Which is odd that
Well,
we're watching
yeah.
this story from this point.
But what's weird is that like the Ed O'Neill thing, they have one scene of Ed O'Neill that is not like at a press conference where he's in his office with his other reporter and they're looking at tape and going through stuff and like, but they never come back to Ed O'Neill until the very end of the movie, and it has nothing to do with Ed O'Neill.
Who's the other reporter?
I don't
What's
know.
that guy?
Some
is it,
guy.
Because I saw that in this movie is I'll look it up, but
Yeah, so they don't really they don't pay off
Yeah.
any of that stuff with,
Not at all.
with the reporter. But
not really.
essentially the whole setup is he's losing and stuff like this, and he's got to field a new team, but he doesn't want to buy players, and he's approached by Lucky, the rich guy douchebag who works with the friends of the program.
Which I had to say,
Which
this
are
is
just
a weird
alumni.
thing that I think
This
probably
is real.
happens.
This is what happens
a lot.
all the time.
If you are a 50-year-old, 40-year-old man with gobs and gobs of money, and all you can think to
boobs.
do with it, with that big milky money, is to buy young men for your favorite college basketball team.
There's
that you,
a real
like
weird-
attended that. Like, what the fuck happened to you when you were 20 that like you never wanted to leave?
There's a
that?
very strange like these white guys are buying young black men thing going on.
Yeah,
that was bothering
there is.
me a
There was a
lot.
lot of racial stuff in this
That's
movie
what
throughout, but
happens
this is
in real life.
Yeah,
And
Absolutely.
What's so weird is this is very much an anti-paying players movie.
With Shaq, who I'm pretty sure
Shaq
he
took
said
money. He
not
said
long
he took
ago
money.
At some kind of
they paid
luncheon
him. They
thing
still pay.
where he had a mic and he was like, "Oh yeah, LSU paid me very well."
Uh-huh.
And then he had to come out afterwards because people were like, that can get LSU in trouble, and
You
he
can get
was
him
like, "I'm
blacklisted."
joking."
But
But it happens everywhere.
It happens everywhere, and I thought it was odd because I'm one of the people that really supports the NCAA paying players of some sort.
Me too.
Like
And
I think they need to be giving players some sort of money. It opens up a whole different other debate, but it was so weird watching a movie that is so anti-paying players. Now the way they're paying players in this movie is not good. I don't like what they're doing here. It's not about giving them $30,000 in a tractor.
Yeah.
But they should be getting some type of cut or something at least put toward their education if they're not a scholarship athlete or whatever. Some weekly pay.
Something that people wouldn't have taken from watching this film at the time that you can take from it now is when you're watching and you're like, "Oh shit, they're giving them all this shady stuff." You should realize this is only a breeding ground for this shit because you're not paying them to begin with.
Right.
And the NCAA refuses to pay players because they're amateur. But you know what? The NCAA makes all of their fucking money.
But they're making these schools millions of dollars.
And coaches. Like I remember when I lived
there's a scene in the movie where they talk about that.
Yeah, and I lived in Austin for a minute. And when I lived there, Mac Brown was making like $4 million a year. Or
Mac Brown, the former football coach.
It was the end of his reign, and he was making a shit ton. And I think the what's the name of that? Like the headmaster or whatever you call it. He's not in Harry Potter, but what's the head of the school?
The dean.
The dean. Yeah, the dean only makes $250K.
Oh yeah,
maybe?
School administration
like
does not make the money.
It doesn't
that
make a ton of
sports
money,
makes.
but
Sports
that's the guy who has to sign the checks.
Yeah, people in the
to
sports
world
department make ridiculous amounts of money. But
I have to say though,
that's the whole other debate for a whole other episode.
It is.
My thing is that they set this up to be like he's so righteous, he's never going to do this, he's never going to do this, and then he just does it, and he's begrudging to do it. Like he doesn't, want to do it
pretty quick.
But he knows that he can't get, because the point is he goes to scout, and I love these scouting scenes where he's getting, because everyone likes him better than any of the other people and coaches.
That's because he's already inherently a
treatment.
little shady, and this is something I didn't think about when I watched it.
I know,
which he shouldn't be.
He's not inherently
because
shady.
the character is not portrayed that way, but he's inherently good at selling people in a way
you
that's
have to be.
I agree, but it's in a way that was very I don't know.
He's not against shady.
What is he?
He's not against recruiting. Recruiting is lying and telling people whatever you need to tell them to get them to come to your school. And that's fine. I have no problem with that. It's a sales job. Yeah. That's all it is.
He's been
He's very good at that.
He's attended each player he goes to's church.
Well, yeah, that's
which is a funny thing.
Because basically he goes to Chicago to try and get what is Penny Hardaway's character name?
Butch McRae.
Butch McRae. The names of this movie are terrible. That one. But he goes to try and recruit Butch McRae, and the problem is that he's real good, and all these coaches there that want him, and of course he gets the first meeting with Butch's coach, because his high school coach, because everybody knows him and likes him.
Yeah.
But then the coach tells him, you're not going to get him unless you pay, because his mom is smart and wants a job and a house.
It's actually who he was talking to is the head priest at the Catholic school that
is that who
the
that
kid
is
attending. Yeah.
Okay.
Because he comes out in this big scene going come on, I got a guy here for sale.
Oh, yeah,
he's a top talent.
$50.
It's only going to cost you
$50.
this. It's only going to cost you this. And then everybody's really uncomfortable. And then he just goes, "Come on, Pete."
Yeah.
Takes him to the back room.
And then of course he's like, I don't want to pay these players. And
there was $1,000 fee to talk to them, to Lavada McRae and Butch McRae, that is brought up in that scene. And he
waives
goes,
it
"I'll get you
because
to waive. I'll waive it."
She likes him
and his program.
Right.
That he's about education.
She says something about in the science department.
Yeah.
But then she goes to visit him, and that's a really funny scene where he shows up at the projects at this Chicago project building, and everyone just looking at him weird as he walks in. But I feel like if he's a very famous basketball coach, I feel like all the people in this neighborhood are basketball fans. I feel like they would know who he is. But
Mm-hmm.
he gets in there, and Mama's ready for a fight.
Lavada.
Levada, and Grandma's there, and all of like 4 kids and him. And somebody else is like tons of people are
There's
in
a
this
ton
little
of
apartment.
family members crammed in there.
It's really funny watching Nick Nolte go in and say hello to everybody, and then he gets 2 kids' names wrong, and then
Yeah.
but then he sits down and Levada lights up a cigarette. A lot of smoking in this movie. Levada
was
lights
the
up a
early
cigarette
90s.
immediately, and is they're trying to sell him on the thing, and he's basically he does this really funny thing where he's trying to tell him what he's going to do for him. And then he gets everyone in the room to be a player and sets up a weird play. I thought it was really
Just
funny.
has everybody
It was
like
effective.
jostling each other and is
Yeah.
like, you get here, you get here, you get here. And it's just madhouse, but it's cute. And you can see like they show you Levada's face during that. She's kind of like,
She's kind of getting
okay,
it. Yeah.
I see what your deal is.
But then she has a little.
She's suspicious of everyone.
yeah, of course.
coming through.
But that's the way she is the whole time
With her kids
'Cause
and
she just
everyone else.
she wants to be paid and get the hell out of the project.
Yeah, she wants a house with a lawn.
That's
and a
her
job.
thing, and a job. And she, so that's what happens. They have that little conversation under the bridge. But he's basically like, look, I don't pay players. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not doing this. Like, I don't do this. And she tells him straight up what she wants.
Yeah, and she's
And-
like, well, I'm gonna get paid one way or another.
Yeah, and it's just
Someone's gonna do it.
that's frustrating. So he
Yeah.
gets frustrated. So then he goes to see Larry Bird
Yeah, he goes off to Indiana.
to French Lick, Indiana, the hometown of Larry Bird. As soon as I see French Lick, Indiana on the screen,
only
like,
think of hometown
Larry
of Larry
Bird's
Bird.
coming up. Like he's gonna go talk to Larry Bird.
Because what else is
Because
in
who
French
else
Lick,
has ever been
Indiana?
from French Lick, Indiana? So he goes and talks to Larry Bird and gets him to the big white guy.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember
Who
his
is that
name.
guy?
I can't remember.
Is he a player? Like I recognize
Ricky Rowe, I think is the
Ricky
name
Rowe
of the character.
Is the character name, but who plays him?
Yeah, I don't know. I can look that up while we're talking.
Because I recognized him, but not from anything. But he goes.
He's
to
the
his,
one whose dad is Jim Beaver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, in the first scene too, they say that he's Catholic or whatever. He tells Levada that he's Catholic.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm not.
Yeah.
And he kind of gets caught in his thing. And then he goes to see Jim Beaver and Ricky Rowe, and they're very religious in the middle of French Lick, Indiana.
Yeah, they're Baptist, and he goes.
Oh, that's my favorite. My favorite thing.
He goes, "Oh, I actually grew up Baptist. I think that's a really important thing." And he goes, "Southern Baptist or First Baptist?"
And he like
And he
pauses and goes, "First, of course." He goes, "Good." It's a real racist.
Because he's like, we don't look kindly
We
on
on the
Southern
Southern
Baptist
Baptist around here,
if
yeah.
you know what I mean?
And basically, he tells him that he wants a tractor,
Yeah,
and Ricky Rowe doesn't know if he even wants to go to school because all he wants to do is have sex. He's like the horniest person on the
yes,
planet.
that kid is only like, well,
I'm about
shucks,
girls.
all I care about's girls, and like you're like, oh, what
It's
a
like real
like a
date
cute,
rapey.
bumbly, like weird, like
Bumpkin.
bumpkin guy.
Yeah.
But that storyline takes nauseating turns like 5 times.
Yeah, it does. But anyway, he
Which we'll
talks
get
to
into
him,
that.
and then he finally goes. He's kind of done with his recruiting. He goes back to L.A., and then the Suge Knight of the movie pops up. I mean, I say Suge Knight, but he's really not like a Suge Knight. He's kind of a nice guy. But
Tony?
this guy
Is
wearing
that who
the,
you're talking about?
No, the guy who's representing Neon Bordeaux.
Oh, okay. Now I know what you're talking
Who's
about. I
wearing-
was very confused.
he's
I'm like,
wearing
who's
the-
Suge Knight?
He's
in this?
wearing the baggiest clothes I've ever seen, and like
Yeah.
a full leather trench coat.
Neon doesn't have any family.
Well, Neon doesn't have anything. Neon lives in South
No.
Louisiana in like BFE outside of New Orleans.
Algiers.
And he tells him, Algiers. And they fly down there and do this really crazy scene where they fly down, take like a weird like swamp boat,
Fan boat.
and then like fan boat, and then they go through like the jungle, and then they end up going through a weird city where there's a crowd of children running with them. And then,
breaking news.
What?
The actor who played Happy passed away from a heart attack at 54 in 1998. Breaking news.
Oh, that douchebag guy?
Yeah. Rest in peace.
He's been in a lot of stuff in the 90s.
J.T.
though.
Walsh.
Yeah.
Continue. I'm sorry.
So that's where they find Neon Bordeaux. So they find Shaq, and he's just a monster. And Shaq looks amazing in this movie because he's young Shaq, and he is at full monster status before he gets fat at all.
Yeah.
Like, he's running up and down the court, and he's just
also,
dunking on fools.
When
like
they show
crazy.
him, can I just bring up, every time they show Shaq in a cutaway scene like that, dunking on fools and everything, Shaq is, they're using this dark lighting, that they use for every Shaq commercial for the next 15 years.
Yeah.
It's like
And
Gold
super
Bond,
dramatic.
and it's just like this dramatic, like everything is dark around him, but he's kind of lit up.
Yeah.
And like it's almost like the sports filming equivalent of like the Spielberg shadows over the face with the light through the middle. It's like that for Shaq's basketball playing, and
it's a very noir. They do a lot of noir
everything.
lighting and like and light him super dramatically. But yeah, so they find Shaq, and then he's talking to Shaq, who's just like, oh, I don't know, I'm not very smart, and I'm I don't know if I want to go to college. And then I love that he goes, what are you going to SATs? He goes, he tells him, and he's like, yeah, but those tests are culturally biased. He's like, yeah, everything's culturally biased.
I actually have that. He got a 520 on his SATs, which he said was, which the guy at the game brings it up to Coach Bell. He's talking to him, and he goes, he got a 520 on his SATs, and he goes, you get 400 for spelling your name right. And he goes, that's the problem.
He messed up on his name.
Which is not hard when your last name is
Budo.
Budo. We're from Louisiana, I have to say. I'm from
Originally.
Texas, but I'm the only one in my family. But our whole family's from Louisiana, and we grew up there.
I don't know that I've ever heard
never met a Budo.
I've heard Boudreaux a million
plenty.
times, but they just took the R out of it.
Which makes no sense. Or Bordeaux, that would work.
But
I mean, that's a city, but
what's funny though is that that's a terrible
like
name.
either of those work. They just took the R out of it.
Neon
Budo.
Neon. If I ever meet Shaq and be like, yo, what up, Neon?
What's up, Neon? Ni hao, Neon.
Ni hao, Neon. What's good, Budo?
We just figured it out. Oh my god.
So they get Shaq back to the thing. This is where
I'm covering myself.
This is where they fly the 3 recruits back to L.A. and they haven't signed yet, and they're working out with the team. They're twerking out with the team.
They're twerking out with them.
Which is all fine and good, and then they're walking around the campus. That weird campus walk scene where everybody's
3 inches taller than they actually are. Or whatever.
Yeah, or no. That was when they introduced them.
They take them into. He takes them to the court during this campus.
Yeah, but I'm talking about when he's visiting the campus.
This is visiting the campus.
Yeah, but when they're walking around campus
yet.
the first time, and
this is during that.
No, this is the end of that. But before that happens, what I'm saying is that then they're walking around campus, and all they are is looking at women and like jocking each other, but like white dude is just so horny.
And what's really funny is that he's supposed to be Larry Bird.
Yeah, basically he's a power forward.
They didn't even hide away from
sort of a small forward.
He's a small forward, but not the modern NBA would be a stretch 4 probably.
Modern NBA would be a stretch 3.
Stretch 3, you're right, because he is only
6'9".
like 6. I think he's like 6'7".
Larry Bird? I think he's 6'9". Oh, yeah, whatever.
6'8". But, anyways,
they introduced them with as much of the airplane sounds as they could possibly get into that arena.
They had very loud
no one
jets.
in there.
They actually just set up jet engines at either side of the court
in front of a microphone
and let them play. And Jeff Beck turned his amps up and stuck them into the behind the jet, so it would come out of the back end and just blow into everything, and that's the noises you're hearing.
It's very loud, and they do this big introduction thing, and then everything's cool. We're just going to go do some practice, and they do some practice. Yeah. And then they're watching game tape, and then in comes Whitey McWhiterson.
Little Ricky Rowe.
Who's like, I think I'm going to go here, and I'm just going to want,
I'm going to need something extra.
Talk to some people, and I've talked to other teams, and I want, I think like $30,000 in cash will probably be good, and maybe a tractor for my daddy. And
he said specifically, he goes, I know the market. And I am a white blue chip who can shoot.
I assume a white blue chip athlete like myself.
I deserve something extra.
Command's like,
so I need an extra $30,000. And that's when Pete
Bell goes fucking apeshit and throws him out.
Ricky.
And then this whole time he's trying to get. Then he takes Neon.
This is when he goes to Happy, right?
Well, before that, there's a scene where he takes Neon because he can get Neon into school if he gets a 700 on his SATs.
Yeah.
All he's got to do is get a 700. And he can get him in on probationary. So this is where he goes see his ex-wife.
Yes.
Who keeps showing up. He shows up at his ex-wife's house in the beginning, too, like drunk.
Which
and
they still act like a couple that's married and together.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people that are like that. They're separated because they just can't deal with each other.
Yeah.
And which happens all the time.
It does happen all the time.
I thought that was a very normal relationship.
In my life, I've known anyone with that relationship. I just haven't.
Yeah, but there's
The
other
people I've
reasons for
known
that,
that are divorced, not personally like
Yeah.
close to me, but like friends and friends' parents, like they tend to be pretty volatile. At least
Yeah.
at this point.
But this is not abnormal. I've seen this.
No,
a million
I
times.
just don't see it a lot.
It's just an adult way to have a divorce.
Yeah.
you move on. It's not about hating each other. It's about like not being able to live together, because he's kind of a pain in the ass. He's completely walled up in his work, and that's all it is.
But she still seems almost as much still in love with him as
she
he
is
her.
and he makes that very clear from the beginning. She just can't be with him because he is so caught up in his work, and gets too caught up in his work, and she doesn't get to see the person. She gets to see the coach. So
I guess I'm more of a cut ties kind of guy.
yeah, I think we just unveiled a lot of stuff about Adam's emotional
I'm like,
maturity level.
I don't think I need to be hanging around with someone I'm divorced with that I've still got lingering feelings for.
Yeah.
It just seems like a bad place to be.
I think it makes sense, and it's emotionally mature way to think about divorce. So that shows you which levels we're on.
I agree that
Set
it
up a little
is
higher.
if there were children, of which these two middle-aged folks had 0.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. They can still love each other. You can still love people
Well,
that
yeah.
you just can't get along with anymore. But I think that's the least problem with this movie at this point.
No, I just...
So
it's really
basically-
funny how different our opinions on this are, and I wasn't looking to have a thing about it. I just still think it's a little weird.
I don't think
and
it's
that's
weird
just
at
me.
all. I mean, I've seen this forever.
It's fine.
This
It
is
happens,
something
but-
that people say this is the most healthy way.
It's something
to have
I've
a
seen
divorce.
forever in movies.
I've seen it in real life before many times.
I just haven't. I just
Well,
have not.
you need
If
some soul
you've,
searching.
Been divorced and you're still best friends and sometimes fuck
don't know
buddies
why
with
we're
that
still
person,
harping on
please let us know. Tweet at us.
Look, I'm just saying sometimes you got to recycle.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. But let's move on from our weird divorce talk. What was I going to say? I'm completely lost now because Adam got into his opinions on divorce.
So his wife starts
the tutor.
tutoring Neon, which I wrote down a line. I know, I'm coming back to it. I have to come back here to read my notes because everything I have is comically too big for this stupid little table.
Hold on.
Anyways.
Hold on. Everything I have is comically too big.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about your dick.
No, just all of my stuff. Here we
You
go.
don't need your laptop.
There you go. You're welcome, camera. I just want to say my fucking notepad's almost the same size. It still dwarfs your goddamn iPad. Anyways.
I'm not using my iPad for anything but playing drops. I use my phone.
Well, it's not getting up in... You know what I'm saying.
This has gone way too far off the rails.
It has. I wrote down a line
So
that Shaq
Neon
said.
Is getting tutored.
Yes. I was going somewhere.
And hit me with it.
There's a scene where Shaq is talking as Neon to Coach Bell and his wife, and he turns to Coach Bell and jokingly throws out the line,
Oh, the bitch.
"Now
thing.
I see why you left the bitch."
Yeah, and they both
They're
laugh.
just like, ha, ha, ha. What?
It was funny.
Yeah. Now I see why you left the bitch.
He was fucking with her because he's been fucking
I
with her
know,
all day.
But it's just really funny. It's something that you
That's
wouldn't write
okay.
in now.
No, you write it in now. I
No,
think you could write it in
you
there.
still wouldn't write it in.
I would write that into something.
Yeah, but I feel
I am
like
a writer, and I would totally write
you
that
would
into
write that
something.
into something. I
'Cause it-
feel like when the studio at some point now would go, let's lose the line where you call the woman point blank a bitch to her face.
But that depends on
because
how.
that word has really started
yes, that
to
word
devolve.
has, and that's fine.
move
But
away.
the point is that
we don't use it
if
as
you
much.
develop a, regardless of whether we use it colloquially or not, if you develop a relationship with somebody, two characters develop a relationship with somebody where they're kicking each other in the nuts all the time, they can say whatever the hell they want, and that doesn't make a difference.
Yeah.
because the other person knows they're doing it in jest.
This is the person we've seen with this person 3 times.
Yes,
or
but
2 times.
you have to assume that they've developed a rapport because
Yeah,
he's already
it's
fucking
just
with
a
her.
jarring
You can't
line
show her
to
that
hear.
line. I know it makes your ears perk up, but I don't see a problem with that line.
There's not
noise,
a
but-
problem with it.
But you know what I
It's not
will
something
say?
I want to call anyone out for
You know what
now,
I
'cause it
will
was
say?
94.
You know what I will
but
say is that Shaq is fucking charismatic as hell. It almost
He was
he's almost-
nominated for a Razzie for worst new actor. For
You're
this.
kidding me. He almost is doing a Bill Murray thing where he's like they threw out the script and he's just going around
Whatever.
being Shaq.
That weird
And I thought it
scene
was
where he's
great.
talking about culturally biased stuff in the classroom.
I thought that was hilarious. I thought that was really funny.
I thought it was funny too.
He's just very charismatic, and that's all he needs to be. He's just a basketball player in this movie.
He's fine. He's not bad in this at all. I think that nominating for nominating him for a Razzie is a
I
weird
think that
thing.
the Razzies in general are stupid.
I generally
There's
agree.
a zero
They're
reason to have that.
genuinely just kind of a shitty take on everything.
But from there on in, Shaq gets his big 700 and wins the bet. He bets her $100 that he'll get a 900 or whatever, and he does. And then
Where's my $100?
no, y'all need to understand where my $100 at. That's my Shaq impression.
Try it again.
There's a
Maybe we can just do Shaq's
barbecue chicken.
Barbecue chicken alert.
They get in, but this is where it gets crazy because this is where Lucky convinces him, like he's convinced that he has to pay these players to get them to school.
Yeah.
So Lucky doucher guy goes and
JT
gets
Walsh, rest in
everything
peace.
they want.
Breaking news.
Everything they want gets given to them basically.
Yeah. Which Shaq didn't ask for anything.
That's the other thing. They try to give Shaq a car, and he's just like, I didn't ask for this. And that's really
made them
telling
send it
for
back.
that character. I thought that was interesting.
It's particularly funny when you hear now Shaq say, "Yeah, I got
I
all
know.
that stuff from LSU," because I'm pretty sure one of the things he mentioned was a car.
Yeah.
Which is
Well,
so common.
You know something else
That's
that
the
was
number one
interesting that's
thing
sort
that
of
they,
beside
like,
the point
give people.
is that did you notice the shoes they're wearing are all those 90s Reeboks?
No,
that look
I didn't.
just like the Shaq-nosis ones, the Shaq-notic.
I didn't notice that at all.
They're the black and white Shaqs. Like they all look like they're wearing Shaq shoes.
They probably
from
are.
the beginning of the movie.
That's
like
really
Reebok
funny.
is all over it.
Did Penny have shoes circa 94?
Yeah, there were Hardaways.
Yeah.
I think so. I'm almost
I
positive.
just can't place them. I mean, I was very
Because you
young.
remember all the Little Penny commercials and stuff.
Yeah.
But so anyway, they go to training camp basically.
Yeah.
Like this is where it gets kind of weird because now he's lying to his wife, telling her, his ex-wife, because they're trying to get back together, and he's telling her that he's not cheating, and everyone's like excited about the year because he got the 3 big recruits, and did it quote unquote clean. But the white guy keeps fucking everything up because he keeps like showing up with Lucky.
Yeah.
And taking
he
more
showed
shit.
up backstage at like the beginning of the year talking about how the season's going to go
After
luncheon.
he told
I
his
think
wife,
that's what it was.
after it was his TV show because he has that weird like local talk show
right.
thing. But it was after he told his wife we told his wife he wasn't cheating.
Yeah, he lied to her point blank.
And she runs
at
into
dinner.
Lucky backstage and then gets told by one of the assistant coaches essentially that, friends of the program.
He's a friend of the program.
That those people are friends of the program. And so she loses her mind and leaves.
Because she's like, well, clearly he lied to me because
And then
Lucky's a douchebag.
He fights Lucky again and they get into a pissing match. And he shuts Lucky down a couple times, but like he's
Lucky
such a
is still
smarmy.
like, I own
dickhole.
you.
Yeah.
And I own these players.
But this is where he finds out that he tells him that the point shaving thing was like he bought Tony the other
Yeah.
night.
Which, he
And-
didn't tell him it was Tony. He has to go
right.
back.
They
He
went
just
and
says,
watched
I
tape.
owned one of your players, basically.
And they spend about 15 minutes of the movie watching one game back and forth. It was a long
Yeah,
tape.
and there's like 4 or 5 guys in there
There's-
all talking about
yeah.
Tony and going like, oh my God.
and they're doing
he
the
threw it.
math, and he's definitely throwing the game.
And like they win, but they don't cover the spread.
Right.
And that's the point.
And
so
so-
that's what made Lucky, I assume, they don't really spell it out, but they kind of spell it out. That's where Lucky made the bulk of his money that he's using now. It's because
Yeah.
it was a small investment
On
to
the point
get a bunch
spread.
of money on
Yes.
the point spread deal in Vegas.
And so then he breaks into Lucky's dorm while they're having like a party.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, and like they have that's a really good scene. I like that scene where he makes him admit that he took money. And
Because Tony's a likable guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's the guy at the beginning of the movie that is like, by the way, she isn't pregnant.
Oh, that was
Don't
funny.
worry about it. And like when he's like, okay, good. He walks away, and then Coach Bell decides, all right, now that he's back with his friends, he yells, he's like, hey, can you take Tony here to go buy some damn prophylactics?
He's like, Coach, man, come on, man.
Yeah.
But no, it was really funny. That was a good moment. But then this is where he basically his conscience starts to really creep on him because he's like, I haven't been running a clean place. This is nuts. Like I can't deal with this. He goes to see his ex-wife, who's now mad at him again. Tells her, and she's just like, "Look, I just can't do this right now because you're lying to me now." And like, this is the point where she's just like, "I can't believe I let myself back into this because you're just kind of a wrecking ball for me emotionally right now." And so this is where
he went to tell her the news about Tony did this,
and she does,
and she's like, "Well, I already know that you lied," and he's like, "Oh shit."
Yeah. But then it gets back to weird again with me because now he's trying to figure this whole thing out. Penny wants to go back to Chicago, but he can't because if he does, they'll take away shit from his mom.
Did you notice when that scene starts, like they real hard tilt shifted the like
they did a lot.
Camera to be like
Friedkin did a
this
lot of
scene's gonna get
very specific
off.
He did like Dutch angles to tell you when the thing. He telegraphed a few things, but on the whole, I thought it was well done. No, my biggest problem,
very 60s. That shot.
Well, that's just
it's not a bad thing.
I mean, I wouldn't say 60s, but the Dutch angle is just a tool that got overused on Batman, basically in the 60s.
That's why I was gonna say
that tool is made to change the tone without doing anything else with the visuals. But so now what's weird is they go into this big game. It all comes down to essentially going to this big game with
actual Bob Knight.
And this is the big final scene, but it doesn't seem like it should be the final scene. This seems like it should be the midpoint of the movie.
Yeah.
Like they go into this big scene and they play against Bobby Knight, and the whole time he's getting these flashbacks because everyone's killing it and they're just wrecking them. And they get in these flashbacks of like him talking about paying players and his conscience is boiling over. And then the game's over. They win the game. He goes back and tells them like, I can't deal with this anymore. Like, I used to run a clean thing, and he's very cryptic about it.
It's the moment where you see Ed O'Neill like.
No, this is in the locker room.
Oh, in the locker room
when he tells them like.
I thought you were going to after the game.
He said like we'll discuss your futures later or something like that.
He's like, we broke the rules.
Yeah.
Basically,
it's a really good scene.
Yeah,
but then is the best scene in the movie. I like that scene a lot. He goes into the press conference.
Yes,
and he just tells everyone to go fuck themselves.
Yeah, and he lays out what happened.
Yep, and he admits to all of it. He admits
to everything,
and he calls out Lucky.
Who like
and all of the supporters who are there
shit on him. It's
I
will kill you.
And everyone's like, oh no, he's definitely an asshole.
Yeah, Lucky was up to this. But the thing is,
and he quits.
You expect in this scene before he comes in, he quits, but. This is where that Ed O'Neill thing doesn't make sense, and there should have been more of it in the middle, is because this is like how the movie starts, is with him in here, and Ed O'Neill's kind of like wringing his hands, and he's like, do you remember the alleged point shaving incident? And he's like, shut up about the point shaving incident. You bring it up all the time.
Yeah.
And Ed O'Neill's like, I'm going to get you. And like, that's the gist of that. And then at the end here, he's like smiling like, oh shit!
Oh, it's on.
You got yourself.
Yeah, but like
it's like also
the first
respect.
time in 40 minutes we've seen Ed O'Neill.
Yeah, but like you think he's gonna be the guy like trying to root this shit out the whole time, but he's not there.
Yeah,
at all. He just shows back up to be like, I get to report on it. A job well done. And it's like, you didn't do shit, Ed O'Neill.
Oh, and you know what I thought about? My favorite thing is that when he leaves the room after the press conference, he leaves the room after the locker room thing, and then Shaq pops up and sticks his head out and just goes, "Hey, coach!" Like, and he's all upset. And he goes, "But what did he say?" Like, he goes,
"I remember this happening. I can't remember what he said."
He says
to
something
him now.
like, "Yeah, but what'd you think of how did I do?"
Yeah,
like, what'd you think about that? And the guys, and he's just like, "It was great, man. It was great." He's like, "I just want to check," and he went back inside because Shaq didn't care about any of this shit. Like, his character just wanted to play basketball. And
which was kind of, you could kind of say the same for Butch.
Yeah, but
not really,
because he didn't get anything, his mom did.
Yeah,
like it was just about his family. Like that was that. The only person that was really a dick is the white guy because he like wanted all his money and cash and pussy. But
he wanted to own all the black people.
No, not Lucky. Oh, right, the white player.
Yeah, no.
But
Ricky
then
Rowe was an asshole.
He quits at the press conference after like blowing everything up.
Yeah.
And
that actor's name is Matt Nover, by the way.
Okay. He walks down the street, sees a bunch of kids playing basketball on a court, and starts teaching them how to take a jump shot properly. And then the movie's over.
Yeah.
And then telling people what they did. Like, he went to a like small Midwestern high school.
Yeah, and
coach.
Then it said that I believe Penny and Shaq's characters went to play in the NBA.
No,
like they dropped out of college.
It
or
says
something.
that the white guy. It says that he
runs his dad's
He got
farm.
injured. He injured his back or his knee, and then now he runs the farm. And then it's like Shaq and Penny both dropped out of college.
They now play in the
NBA.
They're like, fuck yeah, fuck college.
Orlando Magic for life, dog. I'm never going to Los Angeles.
I have to say as well, I have to be a little on Front Street that I don't like college basketball.
I don't either.
I don't hate it, and I enjoy watching some like Sweet 16 action late when I'm like, okay, I need to see what's up with Buddy.
I get it more
to see what's
but
up
I'm
with
not
Ben
like
Simmons.
I'm still not like into it.
My problem with it is it just seems like a bunch of old rich white people getting rich off of like young people that they don't have to pay.
Black people.
Mostly black people. Yeah. I don't like it. And it's the same for football. And there's something else that this is random, but this is another discrimination thing that I'm not sure if you knew necessarily. I was listening to an episode of Jalen and Jacoby the other day.
Give the people what they want.
Exactly. As
My Jalen impression.
I think it was Jesse from Jordan Jesse Go.
Thorne?
Jesse Thorne referred to Jalen Rose as having hip hop Tourette's.
He kind of does. He does.
But they bring up that, and Jalen brings this up to Jacoby. He's like, "Hey, you know they don't test for marijuana in
College?
No, in professional sports outside of the NBA and NFL.
Oh yeah.
MLB and NHL.
They don't.
The two with a ton of white people. They don't care about you.
Yeah, because
using
these
drugs
things
like
were
that.
instituted way back.
Yeah.
When it was super racist, and now it's still that.
It's
Those parts are still racist.
racist-y.
Yeah, it's weird.
Like, because we shouldn't be caring about that at all in sports.
Right.
But whatever.
I mean,
Whatever.
to be honest, baseball, their concerns are so much bigger than normal drugs. Because everyone is
They're
juicing.
trying to figure out
what juicing. They're
what
not so
kind
bad
of weird.
anymore. Like the PED stuff, they were just like, I don't give a shit. Let them do crack.
It's gotten to the point with those PEDs too that it's like they don't even know what the fuck to test for half the time.
Also, baseball's
like
kind of
deer antler, like they just grind up fucking deer antler and like ingest
baseball's
the powder.
become kind
and
of
shit.
become way less of a white people sport though.
Yeah,
like baseball has become
absolutely.
such a like predominantly Latin game.
Why do you think Colin Cowherd got fired so hard when he made the
Colin
remark?
Cowherd.
I do too. He's an asshole. Yeah, I'm calling you out, Colin.
He's calling.
I'm calling out.
He's
Colin
Cowherd.
Colin
a coward.
with the herd. Listen to the herd, because we're going to talk about how we don't like minorities in our sports. Colin Cowherd. He brought up like last summer. He brought up last summer like.
Are you calling Colin Cowherd
or
a coward?
Whenever, he is.
You're calling Colin
He
Cowherd
got fired from ESPN when he made the remark that baseball's not that hard. Guys come over from the Dominican all the time and they can play it.
Well, that's just a weird thing to say.
He was inferring that people from other countries shouldn't be able to just do the same things.
Well, I understand what he's inferring, but like I'm like, you're
that's
bad
not the
at
full quote,
like
but
you're not even you're bad at racism.
Yeah,
like that was
it's not
bad.
even like
that was poor racism.
well
That was
thought
poorly
out
constructed racism. But yeah, so no, this
Get it
movie
together,
just
Colin.
ends. Like it ends, and everyone kind of did their own thing. Like it ends, and he leaves. Like the whole movie is about him being just. He's a bad guy one time, finds out he was bad one other time, and then just quits, and it's movie over.
You really
like,
pick up in the middle of a story.
It's a really strangely existential movie.
Yeah.
Like I was very shocked at how like weirdly existential this movie became toward the end.
The end point is not even a great end point.
No.
It's just like here's what happened after, and it's like the beginning is a weird little like here's what happened before.
No, yeah, it's weird.
And we're just catching the middle of a story.
I don't know. Honestly, I'd say though I did enjoy the movie.
I did too.
I think
great.
that they could have cut the basketball scenes in half, but the movie would have then because the movie was still almost 2 hours long. I think this would have been a 90-minute movie if you cut 3 minutes out of every basketball scene.
Well, you know what I hope?
What?
I hope that Kazam is not 2 hours long.
That's right. The next one of these we're going to do is going to be Kazam, and it's going to be a completely different situation. We're not going to talk about divorce, even though I think there's a divorcee in that. But they don't like each other as far as I'm concerned. So I think you'll have...
You know Shaq can get down on a divorcee. Shaq is a divorcee.
That's true.
Because he was getting down on divorcees.
Exactly. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think? I liked it.
I
enjoyed the movie.
I really enjoyed it. I thought Shaq was good.
Yeah.
I thought Nick Nolte was phenomenal.
I thought Penny Hardaway
was
fairly
good.
wooden, but he was fine.
He wasn't a lot required.
No, he didn't
of
do
a
much.
lot of the players.
And everything. I mean, again, it was solidly
It was good.
entertaining movie, but it was also a little too long and weirdly existential at the end.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't understand why they chose to do that. But Friedkin can direct the hell out of some things. I mean, like he's very good at that. But yeah, it was kind of weird. But so that was Shaq Week Part 1.
Yeah, get ready next week.
Well, next week we're either going to do Kazam or we're going to do something else, depending, because we might have guests next week. I'm working on that.
That's true. We might have guests.
But anyway, so make sure you follow us on Instagram, Twitter, everything at
Twittergram,
the Twittergram
chat, Snapper.
On Snapper, what's Snapper?
It's Snap Twitter. It's
Snap
Twitter,
Twitter.
but it disappears.
Okay. But yeah,
Cyberdust.
We're at SwishPod on everything. So follow us on stuff. Shoot us a line at swishyouwerepod@gmail.com. You can follow me at I am Chris Hayden, and you can follow Adam
at the Adam Hayden. I almost said I am Adam Hayden.
There you
It's
go.
not that.
And we'll see you next week. I'll throw it to Adam. You take us out, bro.
Some people say I'm a social justice warrior. Some people just think I'm a justice warrior, which is fine too. Either way, I'm carrying 2 6-shooters. Strapped them close, strapped them tight, kept them all right. Gonna sleep through the night. But we need stricter gun control laws, and I think that shit is apparent. And you know who else is a parent? Shaq is a parent. He's got kids. You know who else is a parent? Transparent. Have you seen that show? It's a good show. You know who else? Kevin Durant might be, but I'm not sure. So enjoy your week. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your week beginning. And enjoy the beginning of your new life out into a cave. Have a good one.
I say yeah, yeah, yeah.